gotta ask yourself whether reality is a dream. Are you a dream or reality? We're all a part of the answer to the meaning of it all. Come in and join us for the moment we call now. Rise up, join in, raise the whole vibration.
Yes, welcome to 2025, the first live episode of 2025. Last week, I had a pre-recorded episode. I had Robin Joy Landau, who is a practicer of Marconics. So we learned all about what that was with the interview I had done with her at the Holistic Expo. And this is the first episode of 2025. And that was my new theme song and intro. Rise up, join in, raise the vibration. I hope you guys are digging that new thing. I see Helen Wagner out there. I see Tim out there. Tim, really looking forward to this episode. A huge fan of Buddy. Awesome. Great to hear stories from his son. I cannot wait for you guys to meet my guest today. Sandy Hackett is such an amazing human being. You know that this show is all about energy, right? And I met Sandy Hackett on the Stand Up Memories set. I've spoken about that before, that show that I do with Jackie Martling. And he was just so dynamic. The stories were so amazing. His history, of course, you know, knowing who Buddy Hackett was and showed my age and being a fan, but hearing his perspective on that was just so amazing. And I'm so excited to be able to share it. I'm so glad he agreed to come say hello and share some of his life with us. So we'll get to meet him in just a minute. I just want to also say what's up to Grace Grella. How you doing, Grace? I see Arnie Layton out there. What's up, Arnie? Good to see you guys. It is 2025. We have collectively agreed to call it January 9th, just so we knew what time and day to be here. And we are all here. We made it. I remember I used to say that. We made it. We're here. So the live stream of consciousness is just my happy place. It's a great place to have great conversations about consciousness and why we're here. And I started doing the show with lots of psychic mediums and astrologers and all of that kind of stuff. And then I just realized that we're all a piece of the puzzle. We all have unique perspectives. And it just opened up a whole new thing. So I'm excited tonight to have actually an actor, a producer, a writer. He's so dynamic. I can't wait to share it with you. It sure is. It sure is our happy place. Anyway, I hope you guys are happy to be here. I hope you guys have shared. Again, I put you through the paces. Give me a hashtag live in the comments if you're here live, or a hashtag replay if you're watching it in the replay. That will tickle the algorithm and let them know that we're here and that people are having fun and that it's a cool place to share and show to other people. All right, all the business is done and out of the way, and I'm super excited to introduce my guest for tonight, hashtag live, the incredible, very dynamic Mr. Sandy Hackett. Welcome to the live stream.
Oh my goodness. My wife is across the table from me listening to you go on and on about me. I think she's going to be sick.
Oh my God. Well, good thing you got your Buddy Hackett mug and sweatshirt.
These were my Buddy Hackett mug and my Buddy Hackett sweatshirt. These are from our show, My Buddy, which my wife co-wrote with me, produces and directs. And she got these for me for Christmas. So because I'm getting older and she doesn't want me to forget who my father is.
I love it. I love it. Well, I got to say, we haven't even talked about this, but I think part of the energy that I sense from you and what I love about you extends to your wife and your relationship with your wife. It sounds like, looking at your website too, and just knowing that you guys are a team in what you do and how much you guys support each other. That's what my relationship is like. And
I wish we were a team. She's the leader. I'm the soldier. I just do what I'm told. I get scolded all the time. And
well, you know what? That's all right. As the leader, she knows that she needs you there to do her bidding. So
I don't even think she needs me.
So you're important. No, you are.
She's been looking for a replacement for the last 10 years.
Well, I'm sure she's not going to find a replacement. You guys are both amazingly unique. I haven't even met her, and I know she's amazing. Sitting across the table there.
She's amazing. I will say that.
Yes, I know she is, and I can't wait to meet her after this because I'm gonna force you to introduce me to her. Anyway, so you're on my show. I don't know if you've explored any or watched any of the episodes. You just happily agreed to be here, but there is a little bit of a prerequisite to my show. I have an important question that I ask to all of my guests, and I don't know if you love to have spiritual conversations and deep stuff, but I do. And that question is, what is consciousness? What are we talking about when I say the live stream of consciousness? What is consciousness?
Well, first of all, before we even get to that, when you say I volunteered to be a guest on the show or I agreed, I didn't. You sent a letter with a dead goldfish in it, and I knew I really didn't have a choice. So here I am.
Yeah.
And what is stream of consciousness, or what is consciousness?
What is consciousness to you? Just like what if someone says, "Oh yeah, consciousness. Let's talk about that." What does that even mean? What is consciousness?
Well, it's your show. Don't you think you should know these things?
Yeah, I certainly have my ideas of what consciousness is, and
why don't you start with that, and then I will. If I disagree with you, I'll let you know.
Well, okay, so the idea of the show is that everybody's got their own perspective of what consciousness is, but let's start with the idea that there's an energy that connects us all, and that is kind of the source of our being. That's what I think consciousness is. I think consciousness is the idea of being aware that you are experiencing a universe of something. That's where I'll start. Now
Okay.
you go.
That's fine. I mean, consciousness is on so many levels, because it can be the subconscious, which are things we don't know about. It's the stuff that we're aware of. My wife tells me all the time that I'm unaware of a lot of things. My wife is incredibly spiritual and very aware of things, and has a gut feeling about things. I don't think I'm that intuitive, but my dad was like that. And my dad was a very believer of the Kabbalah. Have you talked about that at all in
Sure.
his show?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the Kabbalah was very much a conscious thought. It was some people compared it to, I don't want to say witchcraft, but certainly some sort of uh, spirituality, and that you could create with your mind. And I think at times I have been. My wife said, "You're powerful. You can create with your mind," but we never know. And we happened to be the day you called before the show to ask about these fires in Los Angeles, and it's fascinating because Los Angeles is huge, and people sometimes, if you've never been here, you don't realize. You just think if you live in, I don't know. I don't know, but the big cities are big. But Los Angeles is just huge. It's 100 square miles.
Wow. Yeah, that is big.
And it might even be bigger than that. And it really seems to go on forever, because you can drive in all directions except the ocean. But if you go north, you're heading up. It's developed. If you head south, it's developed all the way to San Diego, which is 2 hours away into the desert, as Palm Springs and stuff like that. So it's huge. So the headlines coming out of here are that, wow, the whole, everything's on fire, but there's little pockets, and it's devastating, and it's terrible, and it's awful, but it's not the whole city. But the consciousness that we talk about was that manifested by, no one has come forward yet and said, oh, we found someone that started a fire, or is this just the winds, or it's the Santa Anas, started something because it's so dry. I don't know, but I can't help but believe, because right before you called the show, we went, my wife and my son and I, we went out to go to look and see, because we got an alert that was 3.5 miles away, literally. And they're telling them to evacuate and for us to be prepared. And my wife's going, it's fine. We're going to be fine. It's not coming over here. And she said, why don't we go take a ride and see for ourselves what's what? And within the hour of the ride that we took, everything kind of dissipated. The fire engines were out. They were all collecting at the high school. They were going off in different directions. But, is someone out there manifesting this? Some people want to tell you, Trump wants to blame, the system. He wants to blame the governor. I mean, we don't know. And maybe they'll find someone that started these fires. Maybe it's just Mother Nature. She's undefeated, but I guess we're going to find out. But consciousness is what you want to manifest for yourself. All these people that speak and talk about things, Tony Robbins, you want something, you go out and you create it for yourself. And I've done a TED Talk. I've gone and talked to groups and stuff like that. And, as we get older, we get more knowledge, and we try to pass that on to the people that are a little younger or searching and looking. And honestly, and I don't know what your political opinion is, but I look at all these people that voted for Trump because they believed his lies, that he's going to do this and he's going to do that. And now the things he's talking are, we're going to change the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which is innocuous in that it's just a name. But, we're going to annex Canada.
Wait. Hold on a second. Innocuous that we're going to change the name. I was in AI today trying to generate a picture of Trump with a crayon and the globe, like trying to redraw the globe. I don't think that, I mean,
he redid that when he was in office. He redid that with the hurricane, where he said, it's going to go over here. He's telling the weather people where, with a marker where the hurricane's going to go. Yeah. And he knew nothing.
Yeah. So you were saying you don't know what my political beliefs are. My political beliefs are that it's freaking crazy right now. The whole thing is a show. I feel like this is my opinion, that it's orchestrated on both sides. There's something above it that's bigger pulling the strings. And it's interesting to me that you started going with talking about the fire when I was talking about what consciousness is and manifesting and what is it, because a lot of my friends are like, this isn't normal. This isn't just like an accident. Like, a lot of people are thinking there's a meaning, and that's not what this show is about. I don't like to get into conspiracy theories, yes or no, but if it's not that, and this is reality, like, to me, that's what this moment is right now. Like, it's a wake-up call. Like, hey, think about what's going on. Does it make any sense to you? I mean, and to hear that kind of from you a little bit too, someone who's right there, kind of wondering like what the heck is going on. I think it's important that we do stand up and look at this moment and try to figure it out and try to.
You said you think it's a show from both sides. I mean, to me, everything Trump's doing is certainly some sort of a show, but I don't see the other side being part of the show. They're trying to fend this off or figure out how they're going to get through 2 years to the next election, if there is one, or 4 years.
Well, when I say both sides, I'm not necessarily I'm trying to navigate this, right? I'm not necessarily talking Democrat and Republican and political party. I'm talking about something bigger. I think, I believe that when I say it's a show, I believe that even the whole idea of the bipartisan system is a show. And again, that's not usually what I talk about on this particular show, right? Because this show is all about what our humanity is and what we contribute to humanity. And the reason I asked you on the show is because you are so authentic to me. What I got from you was a vibration, and that's how I interact with people, right? Is energetically. Everything is an energetic exchange. And the energy I got from you, and even in doing the research from you, is you were so humble when I met you. And I know that you have had a pretty incredible life by most standards, right? You're the son of a celebrity that enabled you to travel around and do some things that maybe not everybody gets the chance to do. And your humility, it was so outstanding to me. You know what I mean? That you did experience all of this stuff, but what does that mean? What means something to you is the moment and the connection with the people that you're with at that moment. And it was so human. And I feel like that's what's missing in so many people. And that's why I really enjoyed, your presence and why I asked you to be on the show. And so I don't love to go into those conversations of like, well, what's happening? Who's pointing the finger at who, and why is this and this. That's what I'm trying to avoid at the
Well,
moment.
thank you. You're very kind. Today is a fascinating day because we buried Jimmy Carter. That was a guy that lived to be 100 years old, and his goal was to stay around long enough to vote for Kamala Harris. And he achieved that goal, and yet his candidate lost. And he lasted another, 6-8 weeks, and he's passed on. And today we buried him. But there was a guy who, after he left the office of the president, and it was a 4-year presidency, he got blamed for a lot of stuff. The hostages he got blamed for, but really he was the guy working behind the scenes to get them back. But he didn't care who got the credit, as long as, even if Reagan got the credit, he was fine as long as we got them back. And then after that, he went and worked for Habitat for Humanity and created homes for those, and gave. And it's amazing that, by losing him, and finally, him passing on, and burying him today, and his funeral on this day, and Trump becoming, is the antithesis of what Jimmy Carter was. Jimmy was give. Trump is take. And when the people who voted for him realize how much destruction he's going to do to the people that he said, "I'm here to help you," it's going to be devastating. And the rebound from this will be, I believe it will be, I don't know what word to use. You got a word there, Lise? It'd be devastating to the Republicans.
I agree. I agree that things don't look good right now, right? With the current man in charge to be. I'm going to agree with you. But personally, I got to say that I've been feeling very, very optimistic about the future of humanity in general, right? Because that's what's really at stake right now. And that's what we're questioning, right? Is the future of humanity. It's not just Trump in America. I mean, that has a big impact on the rest of the world. And so I know a lot of people are struggling right now, and I want to catch up with the comments. There's a bunch of people in the comments saying how they're struggling with the election results, and I believe me, more of my friends are struggling with it than celebrating it. But I do have some friends that are celebrating it, and I feel like at this point, especially in light of what's going on, like, what are you celebrating? Like, whatever's going on, whatever's happening in charge is not good, right? It's just not good, and we need to, I think, the story from what's the movie, the ants movie, right? We got to realize that there's more ants than grasshoppers. That's kind of my, where I sit, right? Is we are the people, and right now it's not, the system is not working for us. It's working against us, in my opinion, again. And I don't usually talk about this stuff, so it's interesting. I'm kind of giving you the,
but it's going to color our society for the next, certainly 2 years, probably 4 years. And
yeah, absolutely.
For a long time after that, until we either succumb to all this or divest ourselves of all of it. I mean,
Yep.
Trump is not a well man. His health can't be very good. The guy eats, garbage. And pretends he's healthy when he's not. He got COVID and almost died from it, and then has such an ego that he wanted to show himself, But when you read into the research, you go, he was really sick,
right?
So
yes, not a big fan in any way, shape, or form. I never really have been.
But this is when you talk about consciousness. The consciousness right now is Trump and the people he's putting in charge, and the people that will either surprise the hell out of us if they have any success doing something good for the country and the people of the country, or fail so miserably that we are devastated as a nation. And how long will it take us to recover and get rid of this cancer called Donald Trump, and put things back together to some sort of normalcy, and get to where Jimmy Carter, the teachings of Jimmy Carter, were to help another human being. And my wife was saying today, she said, we're getting all kinds of calls from people and texts and emails and stuff. Are you guys okay? She's been, I haven't heard from a lot of these people in years. Neither have I. And all of a sudden they're coming out of the woodwork and I go, where were you when I might have needed you?
Yeah, but you know what? You bring up a good point because I think that's the significance of this moment, is that this moment is so significant. Just like you're saying, like the future depends on this moment, and it depends on, I think, the people taking accountability to be aware of that, like you're saying, and I actually am appreciating this conversation because I do think it's important that we take this moment to. You said it, the teachings of Jimmy Carter, right? I'm not, those aren't the people. Jimmy Carter, the political world isn't really my world, right? But it's an important world, right? My world is more, the Buddha and those kinds of things, right? So the idea of realizing that we're all human on this planet and we need to support each other and we need to show love to each other and compassion to each other. I think that's kind of what you were talking about, the teachings of Jimmy Carter, right? As far as like the world, not just America.
No, just to help somebody else. But let's be honest here. This is a tragedy that's happening in Los Angeles, but there have been tragedies all over the country. You had those fires in Hawaii. We had the stuff in Florida. We had those hurricanes that went through, and everybody's all, we got to help. And then the next catastrophe comes along, and we're on to that one, and we've forgotten about those people. But there are going to be people in North Carolina that have no clue how to put their lives back together from those hurricanes and stuff like that. And I think Biden did his best to help as many people as he could in a lot of places on all fronts, including the war in Ukraine. And Trump wants to make it worse. He wants to rename a Gulf for what purpose? He wants.
Listen, in the last 24 hours, I've heard we're taking over Greenland, where Canada is going to become merged with the United States. I've heard some crazy things, and like I said, there are people who are frightened to death, and there are people who are out there celebrating it, and I want no part of it. What I want a part of, Sandy, right now is I want to take you out of this moment, and I want a part of you, and I want a part of your love for humanity and the smiles that you bring and the love that you've experienced, I think, in your life is something that is fueling your passion right now for the future, right? Because the good that exists, what people can do, and it sounds like through your wife as well, the power that we have as individuals to create, right, to make our lives the way we want to be. So I hope, I certainly understand where you're at right now, especially after just coming back from driving around and seeing the fires, and I appreciate that. And I wish I could give you a big hug right now. I really do, because I feel your energy. But
Michael, my wife's here.
What's that?
My wife's here. You can't give me a hug.
Oh, that's all right. I'm sure she wouldn't mind. I would give her a hug too, if you wouldn't mind. But really, what I'm saying, Sandy, is look at the light that you've brought into this world. You know what I mean? I know it's dark right now, but that's why I'm grateful for this moment to even be able to share it with you and connect with you and learn a little bit more about you and exchange your energy and absorb some of your energy.
Again, you're very kind, but I got to tell you, the one who brought light was my dad, because he had millions of fans. He'd be on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson in the old days, and it's amazing because if you mention that to someone, the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, they went, oh, right away they knew. Leno was there for 25 years. Now you got Jimmy Fallon's been there, 7, 8, 9 years. People don't remember Johnny anymore, which for those of us that grew up with him, how do you not remember him or know who he was and what an icon he was? But when my dad was on that show, Johnny's ratings went up 10%. And my dad, couldn't walk around in public without people, hey, buddy. And they wanted to touch him and they wanted to pinch his face and they wanted to, grab him. And, you see that public persona. But my dad was a person that brought, laughter. I brought laughter to thousands, maybe tens of thousands. My dad brought it to millions upon millions, in big films and television and nightclubs and Las Vegas and stuff like that. And then, I was blessed to meet a woman whose father was one of the great songwriters of all time, Ron Miller, who wrote For Once in My Life, Touch Me in the Morning, If I Could, Yesterday, Yesteryear's the Day, Someday Christmas, Heaven Help Us All, I've Never Been to Me. And his songs, as many songwriters, was the fabric that people grew up on. People still, my wife gets emails, several times a month. Oh, we love your father's songs. For Once in My Life was our wedding song. And those are the kind of people that leave a lasting impact on people.
Right.
So I'm following my dad's footsteps, trying to do my best, and I always wanted to be a working professional. I didn't ever claim that I was going to be the next Buddy Hackett or even have my father's success, but I've enjoyed, and I've been out on stage in front of thousands, even tens of thousands of people. But I have not achieved the fame that my father has, and it's okay.
You know what? Absolutely. And I know I don't need to validate for you. I'm just going to try to catch up a little bit. Grace Grella says your dad was everybody's best buddy. I love this conversation, and I feel like what I'm getting and what I want to talk about is how wonderful it is that you met your wife, who also has been able to experience the good of people, right? Like to experience somebody writing you a letter and saying your father affected me in this way, and you having been there and also experienced your father. I mean, I can't imagine the energy that comes with that, and how it's probably shaped both you and your wife, and why you probably both kind of felt, drawn to each other. The vibration was kind of very similar, and
it's a double-edged sword, because when you're with someone that's famous or well-known, and you think they've got the world by the balls and everything good happens to them, and then you'd be surprised to find out that they suffer all the maladies and the bad things just like everybody else.
Just like everybody else. Yeah,
you get to see them in their hot spot or their good spot where they're enjoying themselves, and you've paid to see them. But you catch them off stage and you realize their health situation, the things in their life that didn't go right, that drove them to where they are. For my dad, his comedy came from some of those places. For my wife's father, his music and his lyrics came from those places. Heaven help us all. The lyrics are, heaven help the man who kicks the man who's down. I mean, it's just,
Wow.
you want to make the world a better place. And I would be remiss if I don't tell you I'm blessed, because we have a son, Oliver Richmond, who is 24 years old, went to NYU, started a project a little over a year ago called Song a Day, put it up on TikTok. And last year, his first big song, and it came out. He was doing it every day, getting thousands of people viewing him. And then all of a sudden, one of his songs went viral and had 50 million views.
Wow.
Brought on made the papers in USA Today, the New York Times, in Los Angeles, in London, the Daily Mail. And this is a kid whose lyrics are going to change the world.
Awesome.
From, he's got grandfathers galore, and his mother is incredibly, she's written 100 songs and produced a lot of stuff and did my website and her website and his website. And, we look, it's not a perfect world. We have our issues too.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, see, again, I think that's really what resonated with me, was your humility, because first of all, I love all of that. Right. I feel like it makes so much sense to me, and I get it. And you're probably sick of hearing that. Oh my God, that's so great. That's so great. Because you're like, yeah, sometimes it's not so great. And I get it, but that's part of the humility. That's part of what I get from you is, yeah, you know what? Sandy Hackett is a person. Buddy Hackett is a person, we're all people. And I think that is a refreshing kind of vibe for someone to feel and be like, wow, like, I mean, I've never really been the kind of person to like gloat over a celebrity, right? But I was so excited to talk to you because my best friend who's sitting in the other room is Jesse Blaze Snyder. He's Dee Snyder's son. And like I see it. I see the humanness of that experience, right? And you know how the perception is like, oh my God, you guys must have such a great life. And I know that you wouldn't deny it that yes, traveling around the world and certain things, certain aspects of it were great, but suffering through health issues and things like that were also the opposite, right? They pulled you to the opposite end of the spectrum, the grief and the suffering, right? I think all of that is what makes us human. And I think that's what makes you so much more authentically human, is having experienced those things to that level.
Well,
So
I can tell you with respect to what you're saying, I was with my dad in Atlantic City. He was appearing there when the Cole, the USS Cole was attacked. 221 sailors,
mhm.
killed. And we're sitting there watching the news all day, and my dad said, I don't I don't know how to go on tonight. I don't know how to be funny."
Mhm.
And I said, "Well, you know what, Dad? Amazingly, you're sold out." I said, "You are the doctor tonight." I said, "There's an audience of 1,000 people that you are the prescription for, and you've got to go out there and help them forget about today, and help yourself forget about today, and go out there and take away their pain.
Amazing.
That's your job, whether you want to do it or not. That's your
Sandy, I gotta stop you for a second.
right."
How amazing did that feel to say that? Did that not, I'm imagining that, and to me that feels like that was channeled, right? Like that was love energy just giving you the right tools to get your father to where he needed to be.
Well, it came from the times in my life when my dad bolstered me
Mhm.
up.
Yeah.
And so, now the roles were kind of flipped because I wasn't the one going on stage. However, I was sitting at home in Las Vegas, where I used to live, when the towers were attacked.
Mhm.
And I was appearing that night.
Mhm.
And I had to go on stage. I was working at the time, it was the Improv at the Riviera Hotel.
Wow.
And there were three other comics and myself. And I called the hotel in the middle of the day and I said, "Is there a show tonight?" They said, "We're sold out."
Wow.
I said, "Wow." And I went there and I told the guys in front of me, I said, "Do not talk about today's events. Leave it till the end. I will deal with it. I will bring everybody back on stage and we will talk to the crowd." And it was cathartic. That was our job. It was all of a sudden, it was the Cole all over again. And we had to take away people's pain. And we sat and talked to them until the next show, where we were sold again. We had three shows that night. And the people would not stop talking. People saying, I walked out of my hotel room when I saw this, and I just started walking down the strip. And the next thing I know, I said, I need a laugh. I'm going in there. And it was like the whole audience was, like lemmings. They came there, and it was a laughter that I've never heard before. It was a release, and it was painful and joyous and hurting and terrible. But that's what we do. Look, I can't take away anybody's pain for a protracted period of time, but can I make you forget about it for 10 or 15 minutes or an hour? I try, do my
Right.
best.
Sure. Sure.
I don't know what anybody's pain is. My God, the stuff that's going
Yeah.
out there. How do you
I
take
don't,
anybody's pain that's lost everything in these fires, or
yeah.
lost everything in a hurricane?
I don't know. I don't know how you can say you're not into spiritual stuff and you're not spiritual. Like
I didn't
you
say I
like,
wasn't. I just said my wife was more than I was.
but you embody it. It's so, these stories are amazing, Sandy. Thank you so much for sharing them. I feel like there's so much energy to that and so much wisdom. So much wisdom. You were saying, like, we get older, right? And you know things and you want to teach people things, right? And what's important. And man, that those stories are filled with that. And I love that. I am so happy that you shared that with me. Thank you. Um
It's my pleasure. Look,
uh,
the incoming administration and all those people, they just look to blame.
yeah.
Who can we blame? It could be anybody's fault but me. I have nothing to do with this. And you go, you're the problem. Well, why not be nice to someone instead of mean? Why not accept them? So a guy wants to become a woman. So what? How does that bother you? Who
You know,
cares?
that's something that's really interesting that you're saying. That's something that I realized was kind of part of the root of this show and who I was, in the fact that I don't want to deny anybody of their experience. In fact, I want to hear about it. I want to know about it. Like, tell me what that means. How does that work? Right. And I love that. I just want to kind of catch up with some of my my audience here, and the audience that's actually here for you too. Tim Lawrence says he was a big fan of your dad. He used to have the autographed Stanley TV show promo photo.
You would be the only one I know has it.
Unfortunately, he said unfortunately it got destroyed, but he still has the box set. So that's amazing.
From Stanley?
From Stanley, yeah.
He's got
a box DVD set.
Wow.
Well, something you got to get in your collection, huh?
You know how old I was when that show came out?
No, how old were you?
1.
Oh, geez. Wow.
1956.
I did see in your bio that you had an appearance on Laugh-In at 11 years old.
Rona Martin's Laugh-In.
Oh my God. I'm like, oh, I used to watch that show. I wonder if I saw that episode, but again, it's so cool to me, like as an older person, like you said, different perspectives and knowledge, like to be like, okay, I'm going to flip this around and be like, what was that like from an 11-year-old son of Buddy Hackett being on that show? You know what I mean? That must have been an insane experience for you.
You know, and people always, they say, well, what was it like growing up? But you ask anybody, what was it like growing up in your family, Michael? That's what you know.
Sure.
If your dad was if he was a doctor or a lawyer or a carpenter or a comedian or a cook, that's what you knew.
Yeah.
It's not any different. That's all you knew. You didn't know there was. Then you went to your friend's house, and if your dad was a lawyer, he was a doctor, or he was a dog groomer. We don't know, but that's what you grew up with, and that's what you know. So it's normal to you until one day you get old enough to realize that your dad's a little out of the norm. So when I was little and we lived in New Jersey, one of my dad's dear friends was Dick Martin of Ronan Martin, and he had a son named Kerry, and Kerry used to come over all the time, and we were boyhood chums, and we played together. And Dad and Dick would go play golf, and Kerry would come spend the day, or I'd go to his house, and we became friends. So when we moved to Los Angeles eventually, because that's where Hollywood was happening, and Ronan Martin ended up there with the #1 television show in the country, and my dad was a guest, that week's guest star. He said to me, I'm going to do Ronan Martin's Laugh-In. You want to go and hang out? And I said, sure. You know, I hung out with him often, and I went there, and I don't remember if I told the show on Jackie's show, but they're all arguing over a joke. All the but adults, I don't know who they are. I know who Dan Rowan is, who I don't really know. Dick Martin, I know well. Everybody, I know my dad, but all the other people I don't know, except for there was a guy named Ed Friendly, whose father Tripp I went to school with. And he was there, so I'd met him a few times. But they're going, we're not going to do that joke. That's not funny. It is funny. Trust it. I think it'll work. We'll cover it. We'll put this with it. We're not going to do it. We should do it. We should fight for it. I want to do it. I want to get it in there. The writers and they're arguing, and I'm off on the side. I'm 11 years old, and I said, I'm just a kid, but I thought it was funny. And like 8 heads turned around and looked at me and said, let's use that. And my dad came over and said, what happened? He said, want to be on television? And I said, what do I have to do? He says, just repeat the same line. And they put me on a stool, and they gave me an apple. And my father said, just say the same line, bite into the apple. The juice will drip down your face, and we'll let you know when it's over. And they said, okay, go ahead. I'm just a kid, but I thought it was funny. I bit into the apple. The juice, just like my dad said, ran down my face. Cut. And they took that and they put that, they told the joke. And Richard Nixon, then they got a clip of Richard Nixon. This is how he got elected, you know, because he went on Ronan Martin's Laugh-In and became human to the American populace. So, and I'm not saying I had anything to do with this. I'm just saying that's how Richard Nixon went on. So he said, they told the joke, and Richard was that funny? And then they put me on. I'm just a kid, but I thought it was funny. And Nixon goes, well, I thought so. And somebody else said something.
John Wayne.
Huh?
It was John Wayne.
Whoever it was. Okay. My wife's saying it was John Wayne, but I'm making it Nixon because it's a good story. Anyway, that's what happened. And so I was on. But at 11 years old, I had no idea what I was doing. You know, I told my friends at school I'm being on television. Oh, yeah. You know, and I was on for, you know, what, 12 seconds, 15 seconds. Right. It was fun. But
what an amazing experience. I mean, come on. Even if you didn't know what the heck was going on, it was still amazing.
Oh, it was an amazing experience. At the time, I had no appreciation of it. I did not realize I was on the #1 rated television show in the country. But the next year, when my dad was the guest star again, they called him and they said, "Can we write some stuff for Sandy?"
Wow.
And he came to me. He says, "I'm doing Roland Martin. I'm doing Roland Martin's Laughing Again. They like to write a few things for you. Want to do them?" I said, "Sure." So the next time I came back and I did like 4 or 5 sketches. Plus, I was in the window with him.
Nice.
But I was
That's
only 12, and I
Right.
still didn't have the appreciation of now what that meant.
Sure.
But I did it.
Helen says whatever we live is normal because we don't experience anything different. And
Helen is correct.
yeah, absolutely. No, that makes 1,000,000% sense. I love it, by the way, when you do your father. It's just like you're pretty good at it.
Well, in My Buddy, which my wife helped me write, and she produces and directs, I play my father and me. And when I tell a story from him, I talk like this, and I tell the story. And when I, talking about him, I talk like this, and we bring him to life that way.
So let's talk a little. Let's give some space for My Buddy and the show My Buddy. Obviously, your tribute to your father. What can you tell us about the show? I just want to, while you're talking, I'm just going to bring up your website here. I'm also going to make a banner for it so people can see it. But so tell me where the show even came from. How did you guys start the show? How did your wife get involved, and where is it at now?
Well, I met my wife about 3 months, I think, before my father passed. And my dad, I was working up in Las Vegas. I'd written a show about the Rat Pack, and I was in that show, and he kept saying, "I'm gonna come up and see the show." And he just didn't have the energy. And you dating someone? Yeah, I met this girl. Oh, I'd like to meet her. Okay, so we were gonna have dinner in Los Angeles. And we were getting ready for dinner, and he called and he goes, "I got no energy. I can't go to dinner." So he talked to my wife on the phone and he apologized. And I think they talked a few times, but they never actually met. And then my father passed away on June 30th, 2003. And my wife was not my wife at the time. She was my new girlfriend. She was in Los Angeles, and I was going to go to Los Angeles for the funeral. And she said, "I'll fly up there and I'll drive." I was going to drive down. I said, "No, I'll drive." I was on the phone the whole way, talking to everybody, kept calling. And then I stayed with my girlfriend, Lisa, at the time. And my mother asked me to give the eulogy. And I was really having trouble. And my wife's a friggin' genius, and she helped me put my thoughts together and helped me write the eulogy. And from the eulogy, that grew into, I said, I want to honor my dad and talk about him on stage. And we put the show together, My Buddy. And my wife did all the videos. She did the website you're looking at. She did the pictures. She took the pictures. She's a genius. And
I love Sandy. It's not Sandy. What's your wife's name? I'm sorry.
My wife's name is Lisa.
Lisa, what an amazing job. This tickled my senses so much as like a designer who was a part of the web boom when websites first came out. This is like a dream website for somebody like that, because this is like got all the bells and whistles, and it's just so not for the sake of bells and whistles, because it so works perfectly with what it is, exactly what it is. It's so amazing. So kudos all around to both of you. And I gotta say, I recommend anybody here who says they were a fan, go check out Sandy's website, because in the video section are some videos of the show that he's talking about, and you can actually see exactly what he's talking about. So tell us more about what happens during the show. You come out, you said you play yourself, you play your dad.
I would just say, my wife, she's on the same mission for her father, to keep her father's legacy alive.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Because Ron Miller wrote all these incredible songs, and For Once in My Life was recorded by many artists, but Stevie Wonder had the first hit with it, and everybody thinks Stevie Wonder wrote it. Which he recorded it, but he didn't write it. It was written by Ron Miller, and Ron was the lyricist, and Ron was genius, and he was a modern day Shakespeare. So I'm on my mission to keep my dad's legacy alive, and Lisa's on her mission to keep her father's legacy alive. And she's done an incredible amount of work. She has a show called For Once in My Life where she sings her father's music. And she's an
Wow.
incredible singer. And then we produce our Rat Pack show together. And I play Joey Bishop on that show. And one night after her father had passed away, a few years after my father had passed, she did a show in New York and of a lot of her father's undiscovered work. And I sat there with some friends of mine weeping, listening to these songs I'd never heard before. And
Wow.
the song was called Wasn't I a Good Time? Her father had written. And it was almost like a lament about the relationship that hadn't happened. And I said, I want to take that song and put it into the Rat Pack show. And we're going to call the character Frank's One Love, based on his relationship with Ava Gardner. And you're going to sing the song in a scene with Frank. And it's a 9 or 10 minute medley of Wasn't I a Good Time, that my wife sings, and she interacts with Frank, and it represents all the women in Frank's life, and it's a Ron Miller song, and it's beautiful. So we're both on the same mission, and I've tried to help her as much as I can, but honestly, she's the brains.
I'm so, well, I was gonna say jealous, but that's not the word I want to use. I'm so excited for you and happy for you guys, because I feel like, man, what a blessing it must be. I know you said it's a double-edged sword, and you gotta say that, you're that's your role, but I know you appreciate both of those edges, equally. So it's really, again, thank you so much for sharing all of the stuff. Is there a website for this Ron Miller tribute? Or
Yeah, Lisa's site is Lisa, Lisa Dawn, Dawn, her middle name, Miller.com. And her father's site is in there. And it's For Once in My Life. You can go right to the site from her site. And you can pull it up. And she's ridiculously pretty. So when you look, don't look at me and go, well, how did he get her?
I would I know exactly how you got her. You're an amazing human being, and it's evident just from your vibration.
Well, she tells the story, but I'll tell you the truth. It was a Russian mail order bride gone wrong.
Oh yeah, it wasn't what you thought. It's like buying something off a Wish or something off of
no. I used to shop at Wish. Now I go to Temu.
Yeah. All right. So I'm just going to bring this up. This is Lisa's website, lisadawnmiller.com.
Yeah, there's our son Oliver. There's Lisa. Look how pretty she is.
Yeah,
beautiful. Songs.
Gorgeous. Oh, lucky you. Nice. Good job. Lucky both of you. Again, I feel like you guys, I'm in an amazing relationship with my woman, and when I see that in other people, I'm like so happy, because I know what it's like to just, feel like that other person is always there for you and kind of completes you, and
yeah. This past Christmas, she put out "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas," and she also, I think she's the first person I ever heard to do "Touch Me in the Morning." She did a re-release of her father's song, which was the #1 hit for Diana Ross and my wife.
I was gonna say I forgot who sang that, but yeah, Diana Ross, amazing. Yeah, wow.
But forget about Diana Ross. Lisa sings it better.
Nice. Again, I know I keep saying it, and I know you're probably sick of hearing it, but what a blessed life both of you guys must have had and still do have. And again, I feel it from you. You have it. You're grateful for it. I think that's part of why you are so humble, is because there's no reason to be any other way about it. You know what I mean? And that's really the only way to enjoy it is to just be humble about it and be in it, which is great. So is the show still going? Is it like a ongoing thing, or do you?
My buddy, we were recently in New Jersey. This is so fun. We got booked into Hackettstown, New Jersey.
Nice.
Which was, I guess the founder was, I forget what he did. He was in the railroad business or something. But at the end of the show, I told the people, I said I couldn't, when we were touring, I couldn't not make this stop here because my dad created this town.
That's awesome.
I'm full of shit, but I'm going to take the credit.
That's awesome.
So we're out doing things. I mean, the projects we've got going, Lisa's working on her show. I'm working on my buddy. We've got Rat Pack, and we're both cataloging all of Oliver's stuff because he's been on TikTok. and they're saying TikTok may go away, so we're making sure to catalog it. But he's written over 500 songs, and he's going to be the next incarnation of genius that he already is. But he's really,
you know what, and that's amazing. And I gotta say, I feel like the same way I feel like you and Lisa are who you are because you came from this genuine love vibration, right? It sounds like both of your dads just had this genuine love. And again, that doesn't mean perfect life and so everything's glitter and gold, but there is an underlying, like, it sounds like Buddy didn't live from ego, but he lived from the heart. It sounds like that. It feels like that. Just through who you are, you know, and through the stories that I see. Leela Ninja Kitty says, Buddy was in my favorite movie, 1969, The Love Bug. I thought Volkswagen's bugs really came to life when I was 4 years old. I can remember that movie as well. Oh my God. And your dad in those movies was amazing. But you know, I didn't really want to talk too much about your dad because, again, I just had such a great experience with you. I was so glad that whatever it was that brought you into town, it wasn't that you came in onto Stand Up Memories through Zoom. You actually came into the studio. I actually got to meet you and feel your energy. And again, I think that's what inspired me to ask you to be here.
well, thank you. When I watch those shows and I see the Zoom ones, you know, I think I would rather be live because you get to feel the energy of what's going on. And but that wasn't the case here. So I tried to find a background where it looked like I beamed down.
Sandy, if I could have had you in the studio and sat face to face with you, I certainly would have. You know, again, your energy is off the charts. You're exactly the kind of person I love to be around and I love to talk to. And it sounds like your wife also. You know, like I said, my best friend is Jesse Blaze. He's in the next room. We just started working on some projects together, so I'm excited about doing that. He was actually one of the reasons this show started was because I'm a producer. I produce these things usually from behind the scenes, as you saw on Stand Up Memories. That's usually what I do. And Jesse, I had produced a show for him during COVID. It was a 13-week kind of class. And at the end, he's like, I really love this. I really want to do this some more. Can you be my co-host? And I had never had any plans of being in front of the camera. And it was so great to do this. I mean, even though we're not together right now, this is remote. I'm connecting to you. I'm really excited to have this opportunity to talk to you. And I've gotten to talk to so many cool people. I had Tommy Chong on my show. I've had some amazing authors. Lori Ladd has written an amazing book about the divine design and all of this spiritual stuff. Flat Earth Dave, who is a big flat Earth advocate. I had him on my show, and we just had such amazing conversations. I think when you come from the heart, it's a much different experience, and I wish everybody would come from the heart and experience life.
I haven't seen Tommy in I don't know 40 years maybe.
Yeah,
they were in Las Vegas. Cheech and Chong were doing 2 a.m. shows at I think the Aladdin, and they were shooting Up in Smoke 2 after the first one was a big hit. And so they were looking for people, and you know the word went around to the community. So I showed up. And they were just so, yeah, man, you want to be in the show? I would. Okay, you're like Buddy Hackett's son, right? Yeah, that's okay. We'll use you anyway.
That's great. Nice impersonation of Cheech.
Yeah, and I was in the show, and the show had the movie had no script. They just go, okay, you guys are over here, and then you say it to him, and you say, and I don't even remember it so long ago, but I remember that they were nice. They were fun to work with.
Did that ever come out? Can we find that on YouTube?
Yeah, somewhere, and I don't know if I've ever seen it. I don't even remember.
I don't think I've ever seen Up in Smoke 2. I gotta take a look for that, but I'm gonna research it now for sure. Oh, Sandy, you are so amazing. Thank you so much. If you're willing to do this again, I would love to do this again, and maybe even if you're coming into town, I would love to see you again. I loved your energy. I loved being around you, and maybe we could even get Jackie in on it. We could all go out to eat or something, and have a blast. Jackie and Peter are so awesome.
I would love that. It'll be good. It'll be terrific. It's all right. We'll do that.
Awesome. Before I sign off with you, do you have any words of love, encouragement? I don't know, anything. It doesn't necessarily. I like to try to make it positive, but I can't imagine you have anything negative to say. But
Well, when I met my wife, she didn't know who my dad was, and I didn't know who her dad was, and we just started talking, and she says, we just conversation. My dad's really funny. I said, my dad's funny. And she, no, my dad's funny. And I said, well, that's what my dad does for a living. Well, my dad's really funny. When he talks, he holds the room. And we got to know each other. So in our family, when there's something, I said, my dad wrote a joke about that. She says, my dad wrote a song about it. But I got to meet her dad and spend some time with him. And he was brilliant, and he was wonderful. And his songs, Heaven Help Us All, and Someday Christmas, Someday at Christmas, Men Won't Be Boys. What is it? Kids won't.
Men won't be boys playing with bombs like kids playing with
Men
toys.
won't be boys
playing with bombs like
kids play with toys.
Gotcha.
And I bring that up because the right at the moment is playing with bombs. They want to blow everything up. And what I say is, go back to that place in your life where you weren't mad about everything, where you weren't angry about everything, when you think to yourself, what can I do to help somebody? Not everybody, just somebody. Just help one person. There have been several times in my life I've had the opportunity to help somebody. They say, well, what can I do for you? And I said, just do something nice for somebody else. It'll come back to me, or it won't, but that's fine. Just do something nice for somebody else, whether it's a little, the other day I walk every day for my heart. I have heart disease, which my dad was kind enough to pass on to me genetically. And there was a guy in a wheelchair, and he was trying to get up the curb, the little ramps. And so I said, can I help you? And he said, yeah. I said, you want to go forward or backwards? And he said, can you pull me up backwards? And I did that. It took 2 seconds, 5 seconds of my time.
Right.
But it was a little tiny something. But if you could do something nice, maybe it'll.
You know what? That's all. I love that you said that. And that tiny something wasn't tiny. It was huge to that guy. And what was even huger was probably that you even asked him whether he wanted to go forward or backwards. So that, and to you, that tiny thing was huge. To somebody else.
Yeah, but then I pushed him down the ramp into traffic. I probably.
I had a feeling it ended some way like that. I would love. I don't know. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but I would love to meet Lisa if she wants to come on screen and say hello.
She's not right now.
Not right now. All right. No pressure.
Show.
No pressure, but I wanted to put the energy out there that I want to meet her because, again, I feel your connection, and I know how important that is to happiness. I'm not even talking about success. I know you guys have had success with both of your shows, and
but you showed her website, and you can listen to her music. She's on Spotify. She's on Apple Music. Lisa Dawn Miller. She's got an incredible voice. She somehow she makes you feel. That's why I fell in love with her. I heard her sing, and it moved me.
I love that.
And the audiences, when we go out, when we do Rat Pack, when she does her show, the audience come in, you moved me. I felt you, like you're talking about now. So, that's what you want. Our son does that too.
You know what? And we didn't even get to talk about your son. That's why I'm inviting you back. Really, I want to talk about your son on the next time I speak to you, because I really would love to know. I'm imagining he's phenomenal. If he's a mix of you and your wife and his grandfathers, I mean, he's got to be amazing. So,
well, I have to be honest and tell you, he's my stepson. So there's what he got in.
He doesn't have that blood. Gotcha.
But it's 22 years of
he's got you. Yeah, he's got you.
There's a lot there. And I want to tell you one last story, because you said about my dad, about his benevolence and stuff like that. But look, he could get his ego. And I just thought of this story. He's working at the Sahara. A new president comes into the hotel, and the showroom's packed. And after the show, I said, the new president wants to come up and say hello. Oh, sure. Have him come up and say hello. So the president comes up, and he's probably passed away by now. He was who's ex-military. And I don't need to mention his name, but buddy, you're so funny, so wonderful, so nice to meet you. He says, look, the show ran a little long. I really need you to release my people into the casino sooner. And I swear I could see the steam coming out of my dad's head. And my dad just said very calmly, he said, when you come in tomorrow, call Yesco, which was the sign company, Young Electrical sign company. He said, and have them take my name off the marquee and put your name up. And then tomorrow night, you can let the audience out that came to see you whenever you like. And he said, well, no one's going to come see me. And he said, probably not. Those are my people. And when I'm done with them, because they came to see me, you can have them in the casino.
Good
So
for you, Dad.
he stood his ground when he had to.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Good for your dad. I love it. Again, thank you so much. I'm going to ask you not to go away when I put you in the green room because I want to talk to you. But I'm going to sign off my show. So thank you for being here.
Thanks, who's ever watching. Appreciate your comments. Thanks for watching us. And Michael, an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon. Oh, man. Whew. I got to take my deep breath in now and release it because that was awesome. A moment I created, a moment I was looking forward to all week. And I got through it. And there was probably a million things that I didn't speak about that I wanted to speak about. Courtney, what's up? I see you showing up late. Just about to sign off. Angelo, thank you. Great show. I appreciate it. Buddy was fantastic in Bud and Lou, one of my favorite movies. Yeah, Buddy Hackett is a legend. And I was wondering if any of my audience would know and remember, but man, I remember Buddy Hackett. And just again, the thing I can say about Buddy, and I guess the thing about Sandy as well, is it's a vibe. It's a vibe when you are in touch with your heart and humanity for what it is, and you see that we're all in this together. I think it becomes evident. I think that's authenticity right there. And that's what the show is about. So I appreciate everybody showing up, being here. It was a wonderful Thursday night. I will see you guys. Holding Space, my show on Tuesdays on the Sacred Spiral Network. Next week I have Grace Grella on Tuesday, January. I forget the date. It's the 9th, I believe. No, today's the 9th. It was the 2nd. No, then it was the 9th. I forget what the date is on Tuesday. Whatever the date is on Tuesday, I've got Grace Grella coming up on Holding Space. I will see you guys then. Until then, enjoy the new intro. Peace.
Gotta ask yourself whether reality is a dream or you a dream or reality. We are all a part of the answer to the meaning of it all. Come and join us for the moment we call